This is one of those bits of news where it's the epitome of you have to take this with an absolute and utter minute grain of salt. This is something where you'd see like an AI generated image on a Mummy fan site on Facebook or Instagram, and it's essentially fake news. And when this news broke a couple of hours ago, I just waited. I wanted to see if a few more outlets were reporting on it. And that was the case. Because I'm trying to taper my expectations. Because again, this is a bit of news that I never expected to come to light. I never expected this to happen. I thought after The Mummy, Tomb of the Emperor Dragon, we were done and dusted. But as of a few hours ago, it's reported that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are coming back for The Mummy 4. Not only that, Radio Silence are involved, and they will be directing the film. Now, at this stage, Universal haven't come out and said anything. They declined to comment for now. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, Radio Silence is going to be directing this one, supposedly. And it's funny, when Chloe and I saw Brendan Fraser last month in LA, when we bumped into him and his wonderful partner renting a car and got a quick selfie, I was thinking, dude's really looking good. And that's the thing, since he's come back into the spotlight, he's just been progressively getting healthier and healthier, just looking great, training hard by the looks of it. But when we saw him, I'm like, man, you're looking like Rick ready, which was weird. And hindsight was a thing, and I had known, I could have sneakishly said, hey, what's going on with The Mummy? But this is very interesting. What gives me hope is the fact that Rachel Weisz has come back. We all know she didn't come back for The Mummy, Tomb of the Emperor Dragon because she didn't believe in the script. She just thought it just wasn't on par with the first Mummy and The Mummy Returns. Obviously, Brendan Fraser came back. It was serviceable. It was a valiant effort, but it was nowhere near what was in terms of capturing the magic of The Mummy 1 and The Mummy Returns. So this is why it gives me hope. And I'd like to think the same of Brendan Fraser. I'd like to think with whatever Radio Silence have pitched them with the story, that it's enticed them. They thought, this is a good story. This is something we could definitely sink our teeth into after all these years. Because it's also one of those things of, has too much time passed? Have they gotten too old? But regardless of that, if there's a damn good story front and center, then that doesn't really matter. You can address it. But if you work that into the story and have it play out on screen naturally, then it should be fine. So one of the outlets I'm going to be referencing is Deadline, and they go on to say Universal Pictures is returning to one of its most beloved action-adventure franchises with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in discussions to return for a new Mummy movie, presumably reprising their roles from the studio's Mummy films of the 90s and 2000s, multiple sources tell Deadline. Reps for Universal Pictures declined to comment for now. The plot details for the new film are under wraps, but we hear Radio Silence's Matt Bettinelli open and Tyler Gillett will direct from a script by David Kogoshelf, who wrote The Family Plan and The Deliverance. So again, got a few familiar faces coming back to helm this project. In terms of where this story could go, I have no idea. Again, I think if it's one of those things where they address that, you know, Rick and Evelyn are older now, whether or not they're going to get Alex back, their son, whether or not Arnold Vosloo is going to be back, whether John Hannah's going to be back as Evie's brother, I have no idea. But at the end of the day, all I want is something that feels organic in terms of a story. Something that just feels right and everyone's like, that makes sense to me. Not something that's a cash grab, not something that's cashing in on nostalgia, and it somewhat is. And I've latched on hook, line, and sinker. But like going back to what I said, what gives me hope is that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are class acts. They're not the types that would just do it for a quick paycheck. Whatever Radio Silence has pitched to them so far, it must be damn good. It must be enticing. And we all know Radio Silence helmed Scream 5, which I enjoyed for the most part. But this is very random of them to tackle The Mummy. And it's funny, Lee Cronin's actually just wrapped on The Mummy, his take on The Mummy. So there's a lot happening in the horror world. And then we had the Tom Cruise Mummy where they tried to do the whole dark universe with Universal, and that didn't work out. So again, guys, really trying to taper my expectations. But again, this is something where if it's reported on all these outlets and you've got two actors that are known for taking on roles because they give a shit about the story, then that really gives me hope. Again, where the story's going to go, I have no idea. I just want it to feel right. I just don't want there to be a bunch of Easter eggs and, hey, remember this? We've got this. Like, obviously, they've got Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, but Christ, they're the heart of the franchise. And we know where that franchise went. Holy shit, that's a video for another day. So guys, I know it's early days, but with that being said, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts on Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz returning to the Mummy universe, with Radio Silence helming the director's chairs. And what do you want to see in terms of story? And hell yeah, I'm all for bringing the band back, but just have the story make sense. That's all I ask. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.